Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This is John from Flippin' Ain't Easy. And thank you guys for showing up today. We have a couple so far. I see Ant White and Ed, the reselling writer. Want to give some people some time to roll in. So before we get started and talk about a few things and get to your questions, wanted to sort of set the expectations here. I want to do this for about an hour and want to take your questions. So please have that ready for me. If you are watching this right now, please participate in the chat. And of course, you can support the channel with super stickers, super chats. That's always appreciated. If you're watching this after the fact, please don't forget, hit that like button. It's always appreciated. Of course, if you're not subscribed, it's like 70% of you guys that watch this aren't subscribed. So hit that subscribe button. That certainly helps the channel. And of course, notification bell, all that good stuff. And of course, share the content if you have a reseller friend that might like this kind of content. So we got about 7 that are watching right now. It always gets up to about 40, 50. So thanks for rolling in. It's right now 3 o'clock on the West Coast, 6 o'clock Eastern. So you might be finishing up your day. I've got a long ways to go after this live stream. I've been doing a lot of gathering, fact finding for my taxes and just gathering the information. So whether you use a CPA or not, I do my own. I've done my own the last, forever. But as a reseller, I've done my own exclusively. And the toughest part about doing taxes for me is just gathering all the information. You don't want to be, about a month out looking back at, your information and going, oh, I forgot this expense or I forgot that expense. And so I'm taking my time to go through to make sure I have all my expenses. And I have a pretty good method, I think. I use GoDaddy Bookkeeping. It basically is linked to all my accounts. And they're not sponsoring this channel by any means, but that's just what I do. I heard Quicken is good as well, but it links to my accounts. And so it's a matter of going in and just weeding out the nonsense, making sure everything's in order, and whatever's not in there, because I have some accounts that aren't linked to GoDaddy. Like for instance, my Apple card they don't even support it. So I have to go in and do all that manually. But that's a pain. It's a lot of work. But once that's done, you can hand it off to your CPA or me, just go in and do my taxes. So that's what I'm up against. It's actually sort of a perfect timing because I figure with the lack of sourcing, and hopefully that's going to improve because I have some opportunities I'm going to do some research on tonight. But once you get a lull, it's a good opportunity to do things that you really haven't taken the time to do. I should have did this stuff about a month ago, but I'm getting on it. And so it's not all that bad that I'm not as busy as I'd like to be. So now we have about 20 that are watching. So we'll get to the material. The reason why I talked to you about me doing my taxes and going through the information, you guys know that I used a site called shippo.com last year. And I say used because I don't use them anymore. Well, before I closed my account, of course, I was mindful to go on and print out the reports or save the reports to a spreadsheet so that I would have them for my taxes, because you always want to be able to account for all the shipping that you charged. And when you use a third-party site, you're either utilizing your credit card statements for that, which I was using my Apple card, or in this case, Shippo. So I'm going through all my charges for about 9 months, I'd say, of last year with Shippo. And I came up with $190 in charges that were just bogus, in my opinion. 5 of those charges were $18 charges and these are all through UPS Ground, by the way. And these are $18 charges due to an address correction. Now, I'm importing my addresses straight over from eBay, okay? I have nothing to do with the addresses. This is 100% on the buyer to provide us as sellers an address, a valid address. And when they don't do that, UPS has to go in and fix the address, whatever the problem is, and then they hit us sellers with this $18 bogus fee. And now, the majority of my UPS ground labels were through Shippo. I did some through eBay. I did a few through Pirate Ship, okay, like early in the year. So this may not be the extent of it. What I found after doing some reading is it doesn't matter if you're using Shippo, Pirate Ship, or even eBay labels, or going through UPS ground directly, which you shouldn't be because you're not going to get that good of a discount. If the address the buyer provides you is incorrect, you're going to be charged that $18 fee, and there is nothing eBay will do for you. You have to eat it. And this is where you insert the phrase cost of doing business comes into to play, but it shouldn't be that way. I mean, in this case, because I'm dealing with 5 charges here, it could be up close to 10 after I look at all my shipping for the year. And here's another one. I have a $35.57 charge for undeliverable return. So the address the buyer provided wasn't sufficient. I have no way to know as a seller. Item gets returned at full retail on my dime. And, there's no recourse that we have as sellers to get that back. Another $9 charge for the same reason, ground undeliverable return. So just some things that I want you to be aware of. Of course, I prefer UPS ground over FedEx because FedEx, they love charging their extra fees as well. But for me, what are the alternatives? USPS priority mail, anything over 3 pounds, they're going to hit you. It's a lot cheaper going UPS ground, but I guess this is just the cost of saving money with UPS ground labels, but it's aggravating nonetheless. And just letting you guys know. So at the end of the year, you're going over your taxes. Maybe you've done it already, but to go back to see what kind of charges you're being charged for some of these larger packages. So I want to give a shout. Like I said, we have Ant White in the house, Ed, the reselling writer, Winter Crows joining us. We have Bling Bling Factor Australia. My lovely wife, Jenna, is in the house. We have Felix Soto and Stephen, the reseller, and Jim Owen. And we also have Austin that just dropped in. So thank you for dropping in. Get your questions ready because pretty much that's my rant, regarding these hidden fees. And I've done videos before on them. I've always thought of UPS ground as being the safer option to avoid having to deal with some of these fees. But I guess there just isn't a way around it. It's just something that I'm going to have to accept, having to deal with just fees that aren't fair. And I say that because, again, we don't, as sellers, provide the address. The customers, they provide it, and we're not supposed to go in and investigate and change it. I mean, we're supposed to send it to the address as written by the customer. So, of course, any ideas you guys have, please put in the chat or in the comments down below, but it is aggravating nonetheless. Ed, the reselling writer, love the shirt. Thank you. My favorite drink. I had to pick it up when I saw it a few years back, and it's one of those shirts that I'll wear just when I'm in the work zone. Ant White says, took a hit today. Had to refund an item due to a factory defect. Brand new bathroom medicine cabinet installed and the mirror dropped off overnight. Ooh, that's no good. You know what? I had a buyer reach out to me, and they bought this coffee maker. You guys know I had all these espresso coffee makers that I sold, and I received this message from a buyer, and they stated that just open the package. They made it a point to say, just open the package. And they said that they primed the main part and the side part where the frother wasn't working properly, and how disappointed they were, blah, blah, blah. And I was out in the garage doing work. I was on my phone. I wasn't going to investigate when, I said, just open a return, be glad to take the return. I come back in and I do some investigation, and they received this back on the 27th of January. They did follow up, saying they were going to send it to Mr. Coffee for, whatever. So Mr. Coffee's working with them, but I ain't accepting that return. We're talking now, going over 40 days. By the time they get it back from Mr. Coffee, it's going to be longer than that. You know, how do you just open something a month and a half or a month and a week after you receive it? It doesn't make sense to me. I think they used it and it stopped working, and they're now reaching out to me to try to get me to take a return. So sorry, Aunt White, that you're dealing with that. Unfortunately, our 30-day return policy is an extension of essentially a warranty. And in fact, I've started placing in my listings that the warranty period is 30 days, because essentially that's what it is. There's nothing that we can do. Once they get it, it's in good order. They didn't install it properly, apparently, unless there's a defect. But it sounds to me like they may have not installed it right. And, you know, it broke, and now you have to take the return because the buyer has a 30-day return. So sorry you're dealing with that. Unfortunately, you just have to look at it as a 30-day warranty period, and just go with it. Ed says, I use GoDaddy as well. I have everything ready, just haven't gone to my accountant yet. You know, I don't know if it's me just being cheap, lazy, or both. But I actually enjoy doing my taxes, as crazy as that sounds. It's just the part that's aggravating for me is just the collecting of all the records, you know, anywhere from the apps you use on your phone to, like in my case, for mileage. There's just the programs you use, like GoDaddy bookkeeping is like $130 a year. Every fee that you utilize towards your business, of course, you have to keep track of, and that's the part that I need to do a better job of. Felix Soto says, I use spreadsheets and update them daily. I'm ready for Uncle Sam. And see, the daily part is, you know, my biggest thing. I need to do better doing the daily tasks. You know, it's like having your own shop and closing out your register. Well, I don't close out my register, and I need to do a better job of that. We all have leaks in our game, I guess. That's probably my biggest one that I have a direct control over. Winter Crow says, I don't use eBay shipping labels, global, or any of that. So all this will be very interesting to learn from. So who do you ship through primarily? And a lot of it just depends on what you're selling, I guess. Let's see here. Felix, it's not Shippo's fault. It's UPS. I get those bogus charges all the time. My appeal time with UPS, and I always win. And you're right. It's not Shippo's fault. It's not Shippo's fault at all. It's UPS issues. So, which is why I said it doesn't matter if you're using Shippo, Pirate Ship, eBay labels. You're going to encounter situations where UPS does this to you, and as a reseller, I mean, you could try to fight it. The problem with that is I didn't catch it until now, and we're talking some of these were from August. I'm seeing the dates here on this report. Not sure if they would handle anything over 90 days, but you know, if you've had that experience, please let me know. I'll be glad to, you know, take one phone call to deal with 5 different issues here. So certainly. Now, when it comes to that situation, though, when you're dealing with an address correction, that UPS Ground has to go in and correct the address that's provided by the buyer, will UPS Ground waive those fees? And will they explain what happened in each case? I'm curious to know that. Let's see. Jim Owen says, you're always having problems with eBay. Yeah, just my luck. But you know what? I think sometimes we all have different problems with eBay. Sometimes, you know, many of you don't have a YouTube channel and you just let it go, right? And in most cases, I can tell you, if I didn't have a YouTube channel, I would just be like, whatever, you know. But I laugh it off a lot. When I deal with the problem with eBay, I laugh and say eBay helps me create content. And that's, you know, if I'm dealing with something, chances are someone out there is dealing with it. And, you know, the first response that most people have is, you know, I don't want to deal with this. I don't know how to deal with this. And I like to take my time out of my day, find a solution and share it with you guys. And it comes off as me having all kinds of problems, but I'm just bringing those problems to light and sharing it with someone who may not want to sweep it under the rug and want to know how to deal with it. So hopefully this information that I bring to you guys is interesting enough and helpful enough that it can help somebody that's having the same issue. And collectively, because I don't know everything, collectively, I'd like to learn how to handle it. And, through just us communicating with each other, you'll learn how to handle it as well. Let's see. Austin says, "Hey John, glad you saw my comment about the error in yesterday's video." So if you watched yesterday's video, I did a little video on how to upload labels to eBay, and I also highlighted how eBay has a big glitch when you upload a label. You can't upload a PDF file; you have to do a screenshot, and even then, to the return system, it doesn't show the buyer the actual label. It's just like a square. And you have to send the buyer a follow-up message with that label attached before they can get it. And he said I doxed myself, and I, not knowing, I'm still learning the whole editing thing. And I really tried to make it work with all these addresses flying around on the screen. And after Austin said something, I took it down, re-edited the video, took a couple hours, learned how to finally blur out the video, the buyers, and in my case, my address, so that I don't have bags of manure showing up to my door unexpectedly. So thank you, Austin, for bringing that to my attention. I appreciate that. Let's see. Ed says, "I hear so many problems with UPS and FedEx. I just stick with USPS since I know about 80% of the things I ship will be 2 pounds rate." Yeah. And I always use USPS when I'm dealing with anything under 3 pounds for the most part. And even larger items that's, say, local to Vegas or maybe California, if it's a few cents more, I'll still do USPS over UPS. And, maybe, just maybe, if you buy your labels through eBay, maybe the rep at eBay will do something for you when they can see that overage. You're using a third-party site like Shippo or Pirate Ship, they can't see that and confirm it, and I doubt they're going to do anything for you. So Ricardo says, "Greetings, John. For all those extra UPS charges, there are shipments reaching the customer or the parcels being returned?" So 2 of them are being returned. Well, they were returned. This is back in July. And also we had one in March, that were returned, and I was charged full retail on the return. And, I just didn't think about it, to be honest with you, until I saw this report. So it is what it is. I'm going to have to just eat it and learn from it. And if I do if I take a look at this more often, maybe once a month, as far as my shipping charges, and I recommend you do that as well. Maybe you can catch things and nip it in the bud within the limitations. I'm assuming that you have 60 to 90 days to dispute any issue with the label. So I'll be better for learning this year. I'll do a little bit better on that. Ed says, "Do you think with the fuel increases, the carriers will raise the prices soon?" I'm surprised they haven't. I mean, it's any excuse it seems that they have to raise the price on the labels, they want to pass on to us. It's just a matter of time. If this whole incident in Ukraine is prolonged any more than a few more weeks to a month, don't be surprised to see a special statement from eBay announcing, here are some USPS, UPS, and FedEx label increases, because it may be $5, $6, $7 a gallon wherever you're at, but those companies have to pay the same rates, and they have to pass it on, and they'll pass it on to us, the customer. And I don't know what things are going to look like at the end of the year. If this continues, I mean, will buyers still want to pay? If it's $10 right now to ship an item, will they be willing to pay $15? Because I can see it going up that much. Will they want to buy that same item? And or are you as a seller going to eat it? Are you going to pass it on to your buyer? So that's something you have to think about, each of you, for your account. Let's see. Chucky, he says, "Do watchers always equate to sales?" Not really. A lot of watchers are people just relisting your item, or listing an item, selling similar, or maybe doing research. And I would say, I don't really know a percentage without just pulling something out of thin air, but I would say you're better off dealing with setting your listing up where you have best offer rather than relying on offers to watchers. I still do it, and you want to do it in a timely manner. The people who are looking at your listing, who are shopping for that item, may be more responsive, but certainly it doesn't always lead to a sale. That's for sure. Winter Crow says she uses, Winter Crow says uses USPS mainly through small and lightweight stuff. Felix says, I always catch these charges because my credit card alerts me of charges over $1. Don't know if you can appeal those charges after a month. I don't think I can. I'm going to write it off. Here's the good news. I have $190 in charges that I wouldn't normally have had if I would have been on top of it, right? But it's not totally a loss. I can actually, this is a cost of doing business. I can write these off as part of my shipping expenses when I'm doing my taxes. So it's really not that big of a loss. So it's okay. We have the Monster Loon. How you doing? Thank you for joining us. Felix says Pirate Ship will go to bat for you. They will submit claims for you. And I had a similar experience with Shippo, but you know, it's funny. I wasn't willing to pay the $10 a month anymore to use Shippo. They charge you $10 a month. And every once in a while, I was saving $1 or $2 as compared to eBay labels for the same UPS label. So I figured, yeah, it's paying for itself, so I'll just keep doing it. But I figured, you know what? I'd rather just go back to doing it through the eBay system, through the UPS labels, because if there's an issue, I want that rep from eBay to see and maybe take care of it if I didn't do anything wrong, like in this particular situation. I canceled my account with Shippo, and they totally blocked me from accessing my account. So just something to keep in mind if you ever want to, have an account with Shippo or another site like that. Make sure you handle everything that you need to before you cancel your account, because you're not going to be able to go back in and follow up. The Tommy Bernard podcast says, I use UPS for all my shoes, make a couple $100 a week. It's between 1 to 4 per pair, cheaper than eBay USPS. Right. And so for me, I think even with these hidden charges that I need to do a better job of following, in the long run, you're better off saving that $5-6 per label, depending on how large that item is, than to overspend it. And even then, you're still going to deal with USPS telling you that something was wrong with their package and trying to charge you for an overage. So it's with all the carriers. I think maybe UPS is still the least painful. When it's all said and done, it's just disappointing nonetheless. Let's see. Ed says, I didn't read into it, but I heard that something passed where they are overhauling USPS. Do you know if that'll be beneficial for us sellers? I have not heard of that, and I don't know what type of overhaul that would be. But I wouldn't be surprised, as I said a few minutes ago, I wouldn't be surprised if they overhauled their fees. And fees that start off to be temporary usually become permanent. So don't be at all surprised about that. Let's see. Zen Pirate Ship does. Also, they have special UPS rates for packages that are similar to Cubic. Certainly, they do have that USPS Priority Mail Cubic, where let's say you have a 12 by 12 by 12 box, and it just has this heavy 20-pound item in there. Normally, a lot of your carriers are going to go by the weight. And in this case, the cubic goes by your dimensions. And regardless of how heavy that is, they're going to charge you a flat fee for it. So sometimes it is good. And what I have when I use Pirate Ship, and I use Pirate Ship right now for a lot of my UPS labels, what I do is I run my label or I put the information on the eBay print your label screen, and I go into Pirate Ship, import the label, and I compare. If Pirate Ship's able to save me $1 or $2 on that package, I'll just run it through Pirate Ship. And what I have is I have it set up with best carrier. So maybe I'm thinking UPS is the best option, but maybe Cubic for that particular item is the best, and that'll save me some money as well. And yes, I'm taking that as a $190 lesson that, I need to go in and be a little bit more careful. No, they have a $10 fee. And if you sign in, Shippo, they charge you $10 a month. I noticed when I was running my information the other day, they had waived the first 2 months of fees for me, but it just still wasn't worth it. Tommy says, I was a UPS driver for 24 years. Smart company. They have fuel contracts years in advance to mitigate surcharges. But I'm wondering if those fees, if this is a prolonged ordeal in Ukraine, I'm wondering if, they may have years of deals where they're paying less in fuel charges, but how long is it going to take for them to pass it on to us? That's what I want to know. Let's see. From prison to Patreon. I hear they're bringing back Pony Express. Well, Pony Express was what they did to us a couple years ago in December when they're losing our packages and taking their sweet time. Hopefully they don't bring that back either. USPS reforming employees' benefits and miscellaneous issues. And that sounds to me like it's more of a union thing, like maybe their union contract is up because USPS is a union shop and they can't just arbitrarily go in and reform how they do their business without involving the union. And this is from someone who's lived their life for 26 years in the union, against the union as management. And it's kind of complicated how that works, but certainly it sounds more like that's a union negotiated thing. Yes, UPS is 1 to 2 days faster as well. I definitely agree. And that's always a good thing because the last thing you want to deal with is, I could have sent this out faster, but now this person's breathing down my neck because USPS is taking their sweet time to deliver it. Do you have to enter dimensions when listing on eBay for global shipping? You should, and I definitely would. I don't know if eBay, the lister, is going to stop you from ending that listing and launching it, but I would think it will if you have calculated shipping. But if you have a set price, I don't think it's going to stop you. The problem is they need to know how big that item is. So that buyer is buying your item. They're charging that international buyer the international label. And if your item is 12 by 12 by 12 and you have 1 by 1 by 1, they're not going to charge enough shipping. And I'm wondering if that happens, is that going to be a charge they slap on your account? Because they're not going to, I don't think they're going to pay that out of pocket. So I'm curious, has anybody ever dealt with that where you didn't put your adequate information in for your label on your listing, and then they bought a GPS, a global shipping program person bought your item, and did that still work out? So let me know down below how you dealt with that. Let's see. Tommy Bernhardt podcast. It's a legislative reform on the Postal Service. It seems the way they have to fund pensions 50 years in advance to be profitable. Yeah, and unfortunately, because they are subsidized by the government gets involved in all these reforms and all that. Sorry, guys. So not a whole lot of questions today. I'm surprised. We have 42 people watching, and it seems that I've caught up. We're about 30 minutes in, so I'd like to extend this, through through 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern, if I can. But if I can't, I really don't have a lot of stuff to discuss. I made a run today over to my local Goodwill, picked up a few items, and like I said, it's a good way to supplement. I've sort of made that part of my routine. And I'm going to do a little bit of liquidation resourcing over the next few days. And I am hopeful that I can get back to my normal routine, which is buying these pallets and really making more sales. My sales have dropped tremendously. That's because, of course, the items in my store, they're not as desirable as the stuff that I keep replenishing in my store. And therefore, I'm not getting the same volume of sales that I was getting when I was getting constant shipment of liquidation coming in. Let's see. Felix says, how did it go with the free returns? Well, the way I'm doing it now is I went through, and anything that was under 3 pounds, I just did a bulk edit for free returns. My larger items, I sort of took this advice from someone who commented on that video that I made in regards to this topic, that they don't do free returns across the board. They do the free returns for your smaller items, 3 pounds or less, and that made sense to me. And so I went and changed that all, and it's so far I haven't had any issues with returns. And now that I said that, I'm probably going to get a notice, knock on wood, because whenever I talk about returns, I usually get one or more, and they usually don't come just one, they come in bunches. But you know what, like I said, it is part of the game. I just hate jinxing myself by talking about it. But so far so good. And like I said in the video, people are going to find a way to get that free label anyway. So you might as well get the search boost on eBay, get that 10% final value fee credit back into your account for offering free returns. Curtis Ryder says, wife and I got our first 2 pallets. We're in the profit and still have a bunch to list. So that's awesome. That's the way to do it. If you're sourcing the pallets correctly and not just buying any random pallet, you should do fine. You should do fine. Victor says, UPS does not seem to surcharge for items over the 130 inch mark, but FedEx definitely does. I always check with all the shipping services for the best rate. Here's what I found out, and I wish I had my packages. Normally, I drop my packages off at the UPS store about 5 o'clock p.m. They close at 7, but I drop them off about 5 p.m. I would have them here to show you. But what I do, if I have a box and I try to pack the item as best as I can inside that box, let's say it's the original packing for that original box for that item. Well, if I feel that it's not adequate, I'll go out and wrap that box with about 2 or 3 layers of bubble wrap to give that little extra pillowy feel. And then I'll put that box in my poly bag, wrap it real good, and I'll tape it up. And for UPS, I'll tape the entire thing with clear tape because they don't want the folds from that poly bag to get stuck in their conveyor system. So I tape it all good so they have no complaints, right? Well, I was doing that for the longest time with FedEx. And if you go way back and watch my videos, I'm like, why is FedEx charging me extra fees for a lot of these packages? And it turns out that FedEx does not like you putting the box in the bag, no matter, even if you tape it up, they don't want it. They do not like you doing that, and they will charge you extra fees for that, which is why I don't use FedEx anymore. But UPS doesn't seem to have an issue with it. So just something for you guys to ponder. If you have an item like that maybe you feel like it's not packed as well as it could be, you can still go that route. Bubble wrap it, throw it in a poly bag, tape it up real good, and that would work as well. And so, yeah, Tommy, it wants to know, has the sourcing liquidation still been bad? It has been. My normal go-tos, and I have more than one, just were offering the stuff that I would pass up before. And it was getting to the point where I started looking at that stuff, but I'm not going to buy bad merchandise just for the sake of buying merchandise. So supplemented the last few weeks with going to different going to different thrift stores, Goodwills, finding stuff that has been kind of tiding me over, but still it's not enough, I don't think. And thankfully, some of my go-tos are starting to get more stuff in. So I think this week I'll hopefully, knock on wood, be able to get some liquidation here this week. So, it is what it is. Sometimes we have to go through the rough patches, and this last month has definitely been, actually month and a half, has been definitely been a rough patch for me. So yeah, like I said, thrifting's going okay. And, sometimes we have to go through adversity to learn things about our business, and just learning the thrifting angle has really, I think, helped. I think it's going to make me a better reseller. It's going to make it so that I'm not putting all of my eggs in one basket like I kind of was. You get comfortable, right? And when the goods are plentiful, you tend to go with what has been working and you sort of take it for granted. But this whole lull in my sourcing has allowed me to kind of step out of my comfort zone and to really grow as a reseller. So I'm glad for that. But of course, I'm sad that I lost. My sales are down like 25-30% because I just don't have the same kind of stuff. I was looking at the stuff I had last year. I had some great stuff, and I don't have anything near that right now. So let's hope that changes. Lord, and I'm not going to try to pronounce your name, Lord X. After going on vacation mode on eBay, do you think it's better to end your listing and sell similar to revive a store? I think so. See, the thing is, I don't take off long enough to from eBay to even utilize vacation mode. I will set my handling if I have to be gone. Like for instance, in May, I'm going to be gone for like 5 days. I'm going to set my handling to like 5 days, and every day I'm going to shorten my handling time by a day till I'm back to normal while I'm gone. And that way, if something sells while I'm gone, it'll just be shipped. The buyer knows that I'm shipping it pretty much when I get back. I would think though, if you are dealing with slow sales in general, regardless of why, that certainly by ending and relisting, or actually sell similar, not relist, but selling similar, it does help. And what I do is, with all my items, anything that's about to end and renew with eBay, like that 30-day period is about to come to an end where you have the time left is in red, I will go in and just end the listing, sell similar, and refresh that listing on my terms. I'll go in, change the photo, change something about the listing. I'll usually maybe add best offer to that listing and or up the promoted listing rate, sort of do all of it, right? Because I don't want to hang on to that item. I want to sell it. And if I can get at least what I paid for it back and move it, then fine. I'm willing to take a low offer on it. No One Designed 2. Hey, John, ever think about general lot business model, quantity over quality? I only say this because inventory is abundant in these kind of items and cost of goods is cheap. It's just a matter of finding those lots, right? I don't mind, for instance, buying 100 of this item and it sells for $10 a piece. My cost is $2, and I have 50 of each kind. It's a replenishable. It's one listing. I'm fine with that, and I've done that before. It's just that the sourcing channels that I've interacted with, I'm not lucky enough to find a seller that has a lot of replenishables. So flipping ain't easy 2020@gmail.com. If you know of any in the West Coast, Southern California, Las Vegas area that would be a source you'd like to share with me that maybe you're not using anymore, or they have so much inventory it's not going to hurt you, send me an email and let me know. I'll be glad to look at it. Certainly, I'm always open for new sourcing avenues. And for those of you who are looking to source liquidation in your area, I always recommend, this is the site I'd go to, liquidationmap.com, and plug in your address or just zoom in to the area that you're in on the United States area, and they'll show all kinds of liquidators in your area. So Tommy says that's way more work for less money. If you're referring to what No One Designed 2 put in there, it just really depends. I had one time, this is back in 2019, I had sourced a liquidation pallet that had almost exclusively these Xbox and PlayStation controller mods that like snap on the back so you can kind of cheat and go turbo with all your buttons. And those were selling like 30-40 bucks on eBay. I had like 100 of each kind, and I had the opportunities to get more. And I bought those. It's one listing for each kind, and all you have to do is just go through and make sure everything looks fine, and you have a set area to put them in, and it's done. I love those. Those are so easy to source. Those are so easy to ship, and they were selling like 3 or 4 a week of each kind. And for me, it was a no-brainer. If I can find merchandise like that, where I'm only making $5 a pop, I'm happy with that if it's easy like that. Let's see. Ricardo says, with the very expensive gas prices these days, why don't you schedule a USPS pickup and have them scan for them and get that first USPS scan? Or is the USPS pickup not reliable in your area? I have a pickup. I have a carrier that at first when she came, this is like 6-7 months ago, maybe longer than that. But she came to the house. She was very standoffish when she first came to the door. I had this all set up with USPS.com to where I gave them about 10 to 15 packages is what I'm used to having picked up, and I have it scheduled Monday through Friday through like a six month period. So when she first came to the door, she rang the bell and she was already walking back to her truck by the time I opened the door, and I'm just sitting right next to the door right now. So she was not eager to see me, but as you build that relationship, give them here's a Starbucks gift card for your efforts. I appreciate you, offer to help carry out, bags of packages, offer to carry out some of these bags to her truck. She came around and became really helpful, bringing me bags, bringing me totes from USPS totes. So I already have that all set up with them. It's the UPS that I probably need to set up a pickup through. I just don't have an account set up with them, and I think I might need to do that. And I don't know how that works, if it's just the same as USPS or not. Let's see. Not really if you know how to work around it. Plus, I'm talking about items that is stamped for 99 cents. So I'm not sure if you're talking about sourcing or not. So I will go on to the next comment. Felix says, even if you get back to pallets, don't stop going to thrift stores, because I found some good bolos where I pay 15 and sell them for over 500. Just got a positive feedback from someone. I bought that OPPO. I've never heard of that brand at all. It's an OPPO Blu-ray DVD player. It looked very nice. It was nicer than most that I've seen. And when you fire it up, it had all the bells and whistles, all the settings. And I was surprised that it's a $200 to $300 device. And while I didn't have the remote, I have right now about 10 universal remotes that I've had from a previous lot of returns, and they all are in brand new condition. So I took just a general remote, one of those universal remotes, paired it up with it, made sure it worked, and sold it for, I think it was like 175 plus shipping. And I could have asked for more, right? But I was trying to move it. It was kind of scratched up a little bit as well. And they left me positive feedback. So for an item that cost me $15, it's 10x on my money. I'll take that all day long. So Felix, you're right about that. Omar says, I had the same issue you had with eBay, FedEx shipping being way more than quoted. After calling eBay, they said they filed a dispute, but I never heard anything back. It seems like they're ignoring you. Well, they may have filed their dispute, but see, there's no one following up. So maybe FedEx came back. And the thing to keep in mind is eBay has a general account. So if you're to call FedEx and try to dispute these charges on your own, they would say, we need your account number. Well, eBay has this account number. You're never going to get access to it. So eBay will send that in on your behalf. Now, I'm sure they have lots of different disputes. Is there somebody that's actually actively working those disputes and passing on that money to the proper account? I have my doubts about that, especially the nature of eBay lately has been to fee us to death. Not saying they do, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just pocketed whatever money that they receive back from FedEx. Andrew Merritt says, I use your method for buying pallets and it's kept me out of trouble. It does take discipline. I can't tell you how many times I've found really good stuff, and I'm having a bidding war with someone for this pallet, and I'm already at $6,000. And I'm like, okay, I think I should win here. And, it's counting down, 1 minute left. I'm getting excited. And all of a sudden someone drops a bid and it's 6,500. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm at 40. Do I really like this merchandise? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to hit him one more time. I'm going to go 7,000. And, it's like you get hit back again with a bid and it's like, all right, I got to stop. and you feel sort of regret. Why didn't I throw one more bid? But you have to be disciplined and know that, well, at least then the pallets were pretty plentiful. There's always going to be another pallet. I didn't learn that lesson until, about a month and a half ago, that that's not necessarily true. But you have to be disciplined. Otherwise, you may win a lot, but you're not going to make as much money as you could have if you'd have just waited for the next one. Ed says, where I source is mostly just shoes, so can't really say it'll benefit you. All the electronics I see in my area are junk. And you know what? My first thought when you walk into these thrift stores and you see these electronics, they look like junk. There's some are vintage, some are like, who wants an old 5 CD player, changer? I mean, that's like a 90s thing, right? But there's people who want it. There's people who may have one. It went out on them and they just, in their mind, I wish I had one just like it. And they go on eBay and find it, and they're happy to pay, 5-6 times what you paid Goodwill. And so what looks like junk on the, on the surface may actually have some value there. And thrift and flip, yes, OPPO isn't made anymore. I never heard of it even back in the day when it was made. So definitely be on the lookout for that for the next time as well. Let's see. Tommy says UPS has a special account called occasional or as needed pickup. I think I pay $17 a week as long as packages are entered in for pickup before a predetermined pickup time. They'll come by daily. I am literally 2 minutes away from my UPS store. Literally. Pull out to the main street, make a left, go one light, go into the parking lot, drop it off. So 17, I could tell you, if it was as far away as my post office is, which is like 5 miles away, I would be happy to pay the 17. But in most cases, I'm out the door anyway, and it's right just catty corner to where I'm at. So it's okay. I'm fine with taking my packages daily to UPS. Andrew says, when you test electronics, do you test all the features, or do you list what not all features are tested? So when I test electronics, say at Goodwill, you can plug it in, right? You can plug it in, just make sure it powers on, make sure the tray opens, whatever some of the features are, you can see, make sure that the screen has some text on there. But no, you can't test it all there. But thankfully, like Savers, they don't have there's a thrift store out here called Savers. They don't have a return policy with the electronics. Goodwill, they do. And if I have 7 days to return it, if there's something wrong, I'll bring it here and I'll put it on my TV if it's like a DVR or that type of thing. If it's something that requires, I have a set of speakers outside with speaker wire for like a receiver, and I'll go through and test as many functions as I can. I'll pair a universal remote to it, make sure that the remote functionality works. I'll do as much as I can. And then, of course, list any defects on the item that I come across. Sometimes you just can't test things thoroughly. I have about 4 kayak trolling motors in the box out in my garage, and you can only do so much. I went out and bought a battery, a 12-volt battery, to connect it to test them out. But I'm sure there's features on there that I'm missing that I can't test out. Just do the best you can and hope that it meets the buyer's needs. Haven't had any problems since doing this. So the last month or so of doing the Goodwill sourcing. So I'm thankful for the electronics return policy. I certainly am. I don't think I would want to take a chance on buying electronics if I couldn't return it with there being a problem. Let's see. Ed wants to know, is my Savers as expensive as mine? For shoes, they're reasonable. Savers is okay price-wise. They don't mind you testing out their goods. And the problem with me is my Savers are like 10 miles away. So if you're familiar with the Vegas area, I'm on the outskirts of Vegas. The farther in Vegas you can get from the center of Las Vegas, the better the area is. So we made it a point to get out on the outskirts of town. We're literally 2 exits from the freeway in the middle of nowhere. So I'm happy where I'm at. But the problem with that is you are literally 10, 15 miles away. And heaven forbid, if the place you need to go is on the other side of town, that's like 25 miles away. And while traffic isn't all that bad, it's just kind of a pain. So I don't venture out to Savers much. I think that was the first time I went, was when I was doing a lot of the different Goodwills, and I saw Savers and I decided to go in. But they seem reasonable to me when I went there. And yes, thanks, kid, for mentioning that. Do not forget to hit that like button. I certainly appreciate that. And of course, if you enjoy my channel, please, of course, subscribe. I definitely, it helps me grow the channel. The thing with when you're creating content, and I think Ed can vouch for this, and even maybe Tommy can. You feel like you provide good material. At least I like to think that I do. And it's frustrating when you can't grow as fast as you think you should be able to. And I think that if you like a channel, it doesn't hurt to subscribe. And of course, always, and I do this when I'm watching videos as well, I'm always hitting the like button because I certainly appreciate the time that that person takes to put in the content. And you don't really thoroughly appreciate that until you do it yourself and deal with setting everything up to editing videos and dealing with stuff like putting your address out there like Austin caught for me. It's one of those things that takes a lot of work and effort that I could be maybe putting into something else. But like I said, this channel has always been about helping other people. And without it, I'm just on an island and I'm not able to interact or help with anyone. And I've met a lot of good people because of this channel. And I'm very, very much thankful for it. No One Designed 2 says, here's a tip I've used and probably other people know about, but I also ask friends and family who goes on vacation to pick me up items I've researched in that country or area they're vacationing from. Certainly, like someone's going across the world and, you've heard, or they're famous for this kind of an item. Certainly, if they're able to put it in their check baggage, if it's legal to take back to the United States, you definitely want to be asking them to buy that up for you. Maybe give them a little cut of your profit for their time, but certainly that's definitely a good tip. Felix says, when testing audio video receivers, you need to leave them on for at least 10 minutes. I ran into a couple that after 5 minutes, they would shut off. Okay, that's good to know. I just bought a Sony. I don't know the model number off the top of my head. It's out in my garage, but I just bought a Sony. It looked pretty nice. Plugged it in, it fired right up. And so, yeah, I'll definitely plug that thing in, leave it on for a few minutes and maybe test one of the other ones or a couple of the other ones before I go back to it. So thanks for that advice. Tommy says, I don't create content, I only do the live streams, so they're easy. Editing is not fun. And, a lot of people, they have reverted to just saying, you know what, this is going to be a no edit video, even if it's not a live stream, because editing, you got to learn the different processes. And I tell you, I regretted making the video that I made the other day about returns, because I knew that if I go on here and I have all these addresses on my screen, I didn't know how I was going to properly block those addresses. I didn't want the buyer's address out there, and I certainly didn't want my address out there. But it's like anything, you learn, and I've learned a technique to get past it. I enjoy doing the videos. Sometimes I'm so busy during the day that the only time I have a free moment to do a video is like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Not too many people are going to want to watch me do a live stream about eBay at 9, 10 o'clock at night. That would be like 1 in the morning out on the East Coast. So for me, I'm going to give you a mix of probably 2 to 3 recorded videos to every one live stream. That's just the way it's going to work for me, because there's just not enough time in a day for me. Unfortunately, I don't get to sleep early enough to want to wake up early enough. I'm always up late working on something, and it's a cycle I need to change. I think it would be better if I was able to get to sleep a lot earlier. But until then, that's kind of how I roll. And it turns out that late night is when I have time to make content for you guys. What solds look crazy, popping all the screenshots in. Yeah, don't really, I really don't enjoy making what solds because I kind of feel like everyone else is doing that, and I want this channel to be a little different than a lot of the what I used to call eBay bingo. Let's pull out of an item off of B1. Let's go to I-30 and get this item. I just didn't want to do an eBay what sold or eBay bingo channel, and I'll do that every once in a while. But I'd like to just try to bring things that affect me, or things that I come across that definitely would affect you guys, and to try to talk about that. And of course, if there's any type of video that you want me to make that maybe I haven't made, or other YouTubers haven't touched, please let me know in the comments down below, or you can email me at flippingainteasy2020@gmail.com. No One Design says DVDs in other countries are very hot. I can't seem to keep them in stock. Plus the price points are $40 and up. Cost of goods is under $5 to $10. You guys remember Biscuit Butt? He has found, even on OfferUp, that he's found some really good deals on those laser disc players. Maybe people have their collection, their player and their collection. Sometimes people are pretty much giving those away, like a couple $100 for a laser disc player and 200 to 300 laser discs. That's great deals you can find on OfferUp and places like that. I haven't ventured out that far yet. He's been bugging me over the last year to start looking at storage units, but just it's not my comfort zone. And I said that about thrifting, and maybe in a year from now I'm doing a video about it. And we did do a video about one he bought last year, but it's just, for me, not the risk that I want to deal with storage units, that kind of thing. So guys, I just want to thank you guys for taking the time. We're about an hour in right now, so I want to thank you guys for your participation in this live stream, for supporting the channel, just watching and commenting, and helping me figure out what I'm doing wrong. I think selfishly this channel is a way for me to learn from you guys. But hopefully I've been able to, we're over 2 years into doing this. Hopefully I've been able to provide you guys with something that's worth coming back to as far as the content is concerned. And I really want to thank each and every one of you guys for, putting up with me and following me, because I'm not perfect, but I do what I can to try to deliver the best content that I can. And, I continue to grow the channel, not because I want to, it's because your participation allows me to. But, that's all these things that we talk about, whether it's these hidden fees that UPS decides to throw in our lap that I just discovered. These are all just another example of how flipping ain't easy. And I want to thank you guys once again for spending an hour with me, and I will talk to each and every one of you very soon.